We were Aegis, the kings of the digital arena. For years, I, Ethan, led our team, forging a brotherhood built on trust and a shared dream. Kale, my star player, my brother in arms, was the sharpest blade in our arsenal. We were unstoppable. Our journey to the grand finals was a testament to our bond. Every strategy, every late-night practice, every victory was a shared triumph. I crafted the blueprints. Kale executed them with terrifying precision. The championship was our destiny. The roar of the crowd was a physical force. We started strong, just as planned. Our opening moves were flawless, pushing our opponents back. The game was ours, victory within reach. I felt the familiar thrill of dominance. Then Kale started to falter. The missed ability, a strange position. I dismissed it as nerves, a momentary lapse. But the small errors kept coming, each one chipping away at our lead, a tiny seed of doubt taking root in my mind. My confusion grew into a desperate scramble for answers. I called out new instructions, tried to adapt, but Kale was unresponsive. His plays were uncharacteristic, almost deliberate in their poor timing. My strategic mind could find no logical explanation. The final moments were a blur. Kale, in a critical position, made an error so blatant, so impossible, it cost us everything. The enemy team surged, delivering the finishing blow. The screen flashed defeat. Our dream was shattered. The arena fell silent, then erupted in boos. My teammates stared blankly, their faces etched with devastation. A cold, heavy dread settled in my stomach. This wasn't just a loss. This felt wrong. Deeply, fundamentally wrong. Backstage, Kale avoided my gaze. His voice was flat, devoid of emotion. He announced he was leaving Aegis. Vanguard, our biggest rival, had offered him a massive contract. The news hit me like a physical blow. Mr. Thorne, our team owner, cornered me. His face was a mask of fury. "You lost control, Ethan. You let this happen." He accused me of incompetence, of failing my team. My reputation, my leadership, all crumbling around me. My brotherhood died that day. Grief was a suffocating blanket, but beneath it, a chilling clarity emerged. Kale had not just lost, he had betrayed us. He threw the game. I would find out why, and then I would make him pay. The news headlines screamed my name. Aegis captain fails. Ethan's leadership crumbles. Incompetence costs championship. The public loved a scapegoat. They branded me a failure, a leader who let his team fall apart. Aegis, the team I built, was disbanded. It was all my fault, they said. Then Kale appeared everywhere. He gave interviews, smiling, confident. He spoke of creative differences, of a stagnant environment at Aegis. He painted himself as the visionary, moving to Vanguard for new challenges. His lies were carefully crafted, and the world believed him. My phone stopped ringing. Sponsors pulled out. Coaching offers vanished. My agent, once a close friend, now avoided my calls. I was blacklisted. The industry closed its doors, leaving me outside in the cold. My career, my life's work, was gone. I withdrew. My apartment became my prison. Every public glance, every whispered word, felt like judgment. Self-doubt gnawed at me. Have I truly been so blind? Was I really incompetent? The public ridicule was a heavy burden, crushing my spirit. One quiet message came through. It was from Leo, our former support player. He offered sympathy. He said Kale had been acting strange in the weeks before the finals. He couldn't offer proof, just a feeling. It was a small crack in the wall of Kale's lies. I pulled up the grand finals footage. I watched it again, then again. Frame by frame, I analyzed Kale's every move. I knew his play style, his habits. I searched for mistakes, but what I found was worse. There were patterns, too precise to be errors. I saw subtle communication cues, timing discrepancies. His movements were slightly off our practice strategies. These were not random mistakes. These were deliberate deviations, each one a calculated choice, designed to sabotage, to lead us to defeat. Then, an anonymous message appeared. Look closer at Vanguard. Something rotten there. It was short, vague, but it confirmed my growing suspicion. Kale hadn't just left. He had been working with Vanguard all along. This was deeper than a simple betrayal. The pieces clicked into place. Kale's betrayal wasn't impulsive. It was a cold, calculated act. Every mistake, every unresponsive moment, had been part of a plan. He had orchestrated our downfall with chilling precision for a massive payout. It was a professional hit. My resolve hardened. This was more than clearing my name. This was about justice. I would not just expose Kale's treachery. I would dismantle his new empire. He took everything from me. Now I would take everything from him. My path was clear. My old apartment became my new war room. I reactivated dormant accounts, bypassing firewalls I myself had built. My knowledge of the game's backend was deep. This was my world, and Kale had forgotten. He left digital footprints, and I would find every single one. I reached out to my old network. Data analysts, competitive scene insiders, even a few former rivals. I needed information, whispers, anything. Most of them were hesitant. My name was still Nud. They remembered the public disgrace, not the truth. The calls mostly went unanswered. The few who responded offered platitudes. Not help. They feared Vanguard, or they simply believed the lies. It was clear this was my fight, and I would wage it alone. That was fine. I worked best when underestimated. I shifted my focus to the betting markets. The grand finals had seen unusual activity. Large anonymous bets placed against Aegis, always at specific times during the match. These weren't random. They were precise, mirroring Kale's mistakes. There was a clear pattern. I traced the betting accounts. They led to shell corporations, layers of digital obfuscation. But I knew how to peel back those layers. Slowly, a name emerged. Nexus Holdings. And Nexus Holdings, I found, had direct ties to Vanguard's executive board. The web was tightening. Then came the breakthrough, an old data leak from a former Vanguard employee, buried deep in a dark web forum. It contained an internal memo, Operation Phoenix, Talent Acquisition Strategy. It detailed a plan to destabilize rival teams and poach key players. Kale's defection was not an accident. I moved to Kale's personal game logs. I had access to his old Aegis data, his communications. I found encrypted messages, hidden within seemingly innocent game files. He had been careful but not careful enough. There were gaps in his digital footprint, and I knew where to look. Cracking his old secure channels was a slow, grinding process. I used every tool, every trick I knew. Each line of code was a puzzle, each algorithm a barrier. I believe the evidence was there, buried deep within those encrypted packets, waiting to expose his treachery. I pushed too hard. A security alert flashed on my screen. Vanguard's protocols were advanced, designed to detect intrusion. I pulled back instantly, severing the connection. I had touched the tripwire. They knew someone was looking. My time was running out. But it was enough. The single message finally decrypted. It was from a Vanguard executive to Kale, dated days before the finals. It detailed the planned scenario for our defeat. Every mistake, every unresponsive moment was laid out. My gut had been right. This wasn't just betrayal. It was a cold, calculated execution. And now I had the proof. The decrypted message confirmed my darkest fears. Kale had been approached months ago. Not just a spur-of-the-moment defection, but a calculated long-term plan. Vanguard had bought him, piece by piece, to dismantle us from within. The coldness of it chilled me. It wasn't just Kale they wanted. Vanguard had gained access to our entire strategic playbook. Every unique maneuver, every counter-tactic I had designed, now in their hands. Kale had handed over our secrets, turning our strengths into their weapons. I dug deeper, tracing the money. Anonymous transactions, shell companies, all leading back to Vanguard. The financial trail was intricate but clear. Kale's payout was immense, a king's ransom for a king's betrayal. I gathered every record, every timestamp. His encrypted communications, now fully decoded, laid bare the plot. Detailed instructions for his mistakes, specific moments to throw. His game logs confirmed it. Every critical error was deliberate, a precise execution of their plan. The evidence was irrefutable. Vanguard's new season dominance made sickening sense. They weren't just winning, they were using our strategies, my strategies, against other teams. My tactical genius repurposed to build their empire. It was a twisted, brutal mockery of everything I had built. I needed an ally, someone brave enough to challenge Vanguard. I found Marcus, a disgraced esports journalist, known for chasing controversial truths. He was skeptical at first, burned by past failures. His career was as broken as mine. I laid out my evidence. The financial records, the decoded messages, the game logs. Marcus's skepticism slowly turned to shock. Then, a simmering anger. He saw the precision, the sheer audacity of the betrayal. He saw the truth. Finally, Marcus agreed to help, but his words were grim. Vanguard has deep pockets, Ethan. Their legal team will be ruthless. He warned of the risks, the powerful forces we were up against. But his resolve matched mine. We were in this together now. The sheer scale of it all hit me sometimes. The fight felt too big, too impossible. Doubt would creep in, a cold whisper. Then I remembered my team's faces, shattered and confused after the finals. That memory was a fire, burning away all weakness. I compiled everything into a single, comprehensive dossier, a digital weapon, detailing Kale's every lie, Vanguard's every move. This was my blueprint for destruction. Kale's fall would be as public, as devastating as my own. My revenge would be complete. My plan was a carefully built machine. Each gear, each lever, designed to dismantle Kale's new kingdom. I would not just expose him, I would make sure his fall was spectacular. It would happen at the Nexus Summit, a big esports conference, where Vanguard would be showcasing their new team. I started planting seeds. Anonymous tips sent to specific journalists, cryptic messages dropped in private forums. Whispers began to spread online. Small doubts about Vanguard's sudden dominance. Questions about Kale's quick rise. The community was talking, just as I wanted. Next, I arranged a public interview. I used my old connections, framing it as a chance to finally tell my side of the story. A platform for truth and reconciliation. It was a lure, designed to draw Kale in. My name still held some weight, enough to get attention. Kale, as expected, took the bait. He was everywhere, basking in his new glory with Vanguard. He dismissed the rumors as sore loser talk. My public appearance, he probably thought, was just a chance for him to look even better. He agreed to be on the same panel. I spent days perfecting my presentation. Every piece of evidence was laid out. Game footage with timestamps, decoded messages, financial records. It was a story told in data, undeniable and cold. I practiced my words, making sure they were calm, precise, and devastating. I met with Director Hayes from the Esports Integrity Commission. He was a man of quiet integrity. I presented him with a summary, not the full dossier. He listened, his face unreadable. He agreed to review my evidence formally once it was made public. The silent ally secured. The day of the summit arrived. I saw Kale backstage, surrounded by Vanguard staff. He caught my eye, a smug smile on his face. He nodded, a casual, dismissive gesture. I met his gaze with a cold, blank stare. My face showed nothing, but inside, a storm raged. The rage was a constant hum beneath my skin. It wanted to erupt, to scream, to lash out. But I held it back. This wasn't about emotion. This was about surgical precision. Every move had to be perfect. My focus was a shield against the burning anger. Minutes before we went live, the weight of it all pressed down. My entire career, my reputation, everything I had fought for, rested on the single moment. There was no turning back now. This was my last stand, my chance to reclaim what was mine. I took my place on the panel, the bright lights blinding me for a second. The moderator introduced us. Kale was smiling, confident. He had no idea what was coming. I looked out at the sea of faces, took a deep breath, and prepared to speak the truth. The bright lights of the Nexus Summit stage were intense. Kale sat across from me, his confident smile still in place. I began to speak, my voice steady. I started with the grand finals footage, playing key moments of our defeat. I pointed out Kale's suspicious plays, his uncharacteristic errors. The crowd shifted, murmuring softly. Next, I brought up the decrypted messages. The screen showed the timeline, the sender, the recipient, Kale and a Vanguard executive. The messages detailed planned scenarios for our loss. Each mistake Kale made was a direct instruction. Kale's smile faltered, replaced by a flicker of unease. Then came the financial records. Shell companies, anonymous transactions, all funneling a massive payout to Kale, directly linked to Vanguard. I displayed Vanguard's internal memos, Operation Phoenix, detailing their strategy to destabilize rival teams. Kale's face went pale. His arrogance was crumbling, replaced by disbelief. The evidence mounted, piece by piece, undeniable and cold. Every lie, every calculated move, laid bare for the world to see. Kale's disbelief turned to panic. He tried to speak, but no words came out. His confident posture dissolved. He looked like a cornered animal, exposed and terrified. The audience erupted. A wave of shock, then outrage, swept through the hall. Online comments flashed across secondary screens. A storm of condemnation. People were shouting, some pointed at Kale. The public had witnessed the truth, and their judgment was swift and merciless. It was a roar of righteous anger. Vanguard executives on the panel tried to intervene. They spoke of misinformation, of fabricated evidence. But my presentation was irrefutable. Every document was time-stamped, every game log verified. Their attempts to discredit me only made them look desperate and complicit. Their words were empty against the mountain of facts. Director Hayes from the Esports Integrity Commission then took the stage. His voice was grave. He announced an immediate, full-scale investigation into Kale and Vanguard. The implications were clear. The industry was watching, and justice was finally in motion. The first domino had fallen, and many more would follow. The fallout for Kale was instant and devastating. Before the summit even ended, news broke. Sponsors pulled out. His social media was flooded with hate. His reputation, once golden, was utterly destroyed. He was no longer a star. He was a pariah. His empire, built on lies, crumbled into dust. My phone, once silent, now buzzed constantly. Apologies from former teammates. Messages of support from industry peers. My name was cleared. The whispers of incompetent were replaced by vindicated. The championship was still gone, a void that would never be filled. But my honor, my legacy was restored. It was a bittersweet victory. The path ahead was open. The scars of betrayal would remain, a reminder of the cost of trust. But I had proven that integrity and truth could prevail, even against the most ruthless ambition. Perhaps I would build a new team, a new legacy, this time with a foundation unbreakable. My journey for justice was complete, and a new chapter began.